Hi everyone, we're just going to give it a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Next Steps Progression event. As this is for all of the colleges in the Eastern Colleges group, we're joined by staff across West Suffolk College, Abbeygate Sixth Form and 1/6 Form for you, and as well as some external speakers, just to give you a broad range of information on what's available to you after you finish your college course or your A-levels, whatever route you're doing. So my name's Ellie, and I work within the Careers and Progression team at West Suffolk College. But I'm also joined by Gaynor, Nicola, Lou, Rio, and Maggie from One Abbeygate and West Suffolk College as well. So if you do have any college-specific questions, hopefully you'll be able to get those answered for you. So just before we get started, a couple of housekeeping. Hopefully we're all old hat at this now and we've been doing lots of online events. But mics and cameras, hopefully you don't have the function to use them. But if you do, if you wouldn't mind just turning them off for us, that would be fantastic just to avoid any disruption. We've got a chat function. So if you do have any questions throughout the evening, please feel free to put all of your questions in the chat. If you have something very specific to you or specific sort of to an application that you're doing or to your situation, then it's best to contact us directly at each of the colleges. So if you do have more generalised questions, that's sort of what the chat is there for, and we can answer those for you. We've got lots of people squirreling away in the background, ready to answer your questions and send useful links and help you along with the evening. Lastly, this event is being recorded just to make you all aware. We will be sharing the recording with you, so we'll put the recording up on all of the 3 college websites, and we'll send an email out with you as well to the link to the recording and to the page where you can find the recording as well as the information such as the slides that are used this evening. So just to give you a very quick rundown of tonight, in case you're thinking, do I have time for a cup of tea? So the first hour, so from 6 until 7, is based around university and preparing for uni. We'll have a short Q&A session, and then for the second half of the evening, from 7 until 8, we've got all the other pathways that you can go into after college and A-levels, including gap years, apprenticeships, and opportunities for employment. So without further ado, I will hand you over to our first speaker, who is Gaynor, and she's going to be talking to you about preparing for university. Thank you, Gaynor.
Thanks very much, Ellie, and good evening, everybody. So as Ellie said, I'm Gaynor Marsh, the Careers Coordinator here at 1/6 Form College, and I'm going to be talking to you about preparation for university. And while I do that, I'm just going to share my screen with you, as I have got a short presentation to run through with you with some key information for this evening. So with regards to preparation to consider, some of the things that we will be covering this evening is with regards to timeline and key dates for 2023 entry, replying to UCAS undergraduate offers, what to do if your young person changes their mind, which does happen sometimes, and that will be information around UCAS Extra, clearing and deferring. We're going to be joined as well by our AIM Hire Manager, Rio Godfrey, to talk about the early entry options and what's going to be happening with regards to interviews and auditions, but also interviews and auditions for all of our general students as well as resources to support your young person with their decision-making process. And then what we will have at the end of this presentation is the opportunity for you to meet key members of our progression team across all of the centres, as well as our higher education champion from NICO, just to tell you a little bit more about bespoke information for those particular centres. So I just want to share with you the timeline for 2023 entry. As you can see, we've already kick-started that with the early entry applicants, where applications went off this Saturday for our students studying or wanting to study at Oxford, Cambridge, as well as courses in medicine, dentistry and vet medicine. And we've also as well been supporting our students that have decided to apply to a conservatoire and to specifically apply for music related courses, as the other conservatoire courses applications are at later dates. So as you can see, that's just for you to actually have access to, and we will share these slides with you on the website as well, so that you have all of these key dates and information. But it's just the starting of what was going to be happening over the course of this academic year. So the one thing to kind of have a think about is most of our students will have already had the opportunity, if they want to go to university, to have support with actually creating a UCAS hub. And within that, they have the opportunity to apply to up to 5 course choices. So when they apply to university using the UCAS system, this actually does come at a small cost. So for anyone that is making an application for one course choice, then that's £22.50. And for more than one choice, that is £27. Once our students have actually submitted their applications, and we will be sharing those internal dates with you later, we then are in the process of students then receiving actual offers from universities. So what they have to then do is, if they've applied for more than one choice, then they have the option to pick what we call a firm and an insurance acceptance. I just wanted to point out as well that when students are making their course choices, it is a really good indicator to actually include a mixture of both aspirational and realistic entry requirements in line with their expected grades, as well as potentially a choice that would be easily achievable for that young person. So once they have their offers back, if it's an unconditional offer, then that's fantastic, because that means that the place is theirs. Or if it's a conditional offer, the place is there if they actually meet the offer conditions. So with regards to a insurance acceptance, this is what we call like a backup choice with note the conditional firm acceptance. And so what we would suggest is that, students actually go for something that maybe is a little bit lower with regards to the offer conditions, so that it is what it says, an insurance acceptance offer, so that it is available to them if they don't get their first choice firm acceptance. What they then have to do is ensure that they decline all other offers that have been, kind of posed to them as part of that. And that information will be all available within the UCAS hub. I've also included in there for you some reply dates. So these are based on when UCAS received the last decision in from their university or colleges. And if they receive their last decision on or before the 18th of May, their reply date has to be the 8th of June. So again, we will, kind of put information out to young people to remind them of that. But as parents, guardians, it's just good as part of that timeline just to have that as a fixture, because we don't want any young person to be in a position where they haven't accepted any offers and they are declined from all. Also as well, if they receive their last decision on or before the 12th of July, and that's for students that maybe are applying a little bit later, the reply date for that is the 17th of July next year. We do, of course, have young people that decide or change their mind partway through when they've actually gone through this process, and this is just to kind of give you an overview of what to do if your young person does change their mind, or for any young people that are listening in as well. You have a sort of 14 days grace from UCAS. So if you've accepted your offers in the last 14 days and then change your mind, you can actually contact UCAS directly to make those changes. If it's been more than 14 days, then the process around that is a little bit different, and it's a much more detailed process, because once you've actually accepted those offers, you're already moving towards forming an agreement with the institutions that you have chosen. And so although it is potentially possible that you could change your mind with those institutions. It's not guaranteed. But what we would do, or advise everyone to do, is actually contact those institutions directly, and just to see whether that is something that can be resolved directly with them. When you are making any contact with UCAS or an institution, one of the things they will ask for is your UCAS ID reference number. And again, that's something that is available in the UCAS hub as well. And if you are a parent or guardian where you have actually been put down as your young person's nominated access on their application form, that also gives you permission for the institutions and UCAS to actually speak to you as well as that young person. So just to kind of outline, it is important that young people do include a nominated access person on their applications for that reason alone. So the other thing is with regards to sort of reply or swaps or anything like that within the process of institutions. If you wanted to have conversations with them, you can have those conversations up until the 21st of July. If they've changed their mind completely and no longer want to go to university, then they can sign into the UCAS hub and completely withdraw their applications. There is also the possibility that they change their mind about going in this cycle, the 2023 cycle, and they might want to go in 2024 instead, and that's absolutely fine, and that's what we call deferment. So I've got a screen slide here specifically for deferring entry for 2024 entry, and what it means is it's just literally delaying that option and the offer that they've received. So what it means is that person can actually defer through the cycle, or actually when they're applying, they can actually apply for a course with a deferred start date. So when a young person enters their course choices, there is a point of entry that they can add on that application form, and it will actually say the current in-year, or it will say the deferred start date. But you can usually only defer entry by 1 year. It's not automatic that all institutions will offer deferment, and especially for some particular courses as well, where there's high competitiveness or popularity. So as you can imagine, things like medicine, you can't defer for a year. But it is something that you can have a conversation with that institution about. The conditions of the offer won't change even if the entry date does. So, for example, if the conditional offer is based on obtaining maybe AAB for a deferred course in 2024, then that young person must attain those grades as per that conditional offer. It will be no different if it is in the current year or in the deferred entry year. If your young person is also applying for conservatoire, then they will need to actually speak to the conservatoire directly, because it's not generally common practice for a deferment to take place, and therefore it is another conversation that will need to be had. But just to kind of remind you, with regards to UCAS Hub, it does have the application process for university, and there is also a separate application process for UCAS Conservatoire. So if you've got any of your young people online that are thinking about applying to both, then it is very important that they speak to their nominated person within the institution, either West Suffolk, Abbey or One, just to advise that that application is being done simultaneously. That just makes life a lot easier for us that are supporting those young people. So just to talk about UCAS Extra and clearing. So there is the possibility that your young person, alongside actually sort of changing their mind, might want to use the facility called UCAS Extra. And what that is it's a facility where a young person between 23rd of February and the 4th of July, if they're not sort of holding any offers from their university or have decided to decline those offers, they go into this area called UCAS Extra, which enables them to actually put in an additional course choice. The only one thing I do need to kind of make clear around that is they do need to have paid for the full service around that. For anyone that is actually just applying for one offer to go into UCAS Extra, they just need to pay that additional fee of £4.50 to be able to have access to that particular facility. And the lovely thing about UCAS Extra is it enables that young person to keep applying for more and more options until they're happy with that particular offer. And again, if they've decided to actually study something completely different to what they originally applied for, they can do that via UCAS Extra. But what they might need to do is actually contact the institution directly with a revised personal statement. But again, that's something that the team within the careers department or university support can help with as well with regards to that. We also have an option which is called clearing. So even after UCAS Extra, if that young person decides, actually, no, I don't want to have any of the offers that I'm currently holding, they can go into clearing. Or if unfortunately, for some of them, they're not actually holding any offers either before or during results day, then it's something that they will be automatically entered into. The lovely thing about UCAS clearing is year on year, there's more and more support around that. And what UCAS have now also offered is a facility called Clearing Plus. And what that includes is some kind of suggested courses and institutions that they could apply for based on the information that they have already in their application. And what the institutions do is they have a look at those applications and what they do is suggest either something based on the course choices that they have added previously, or maybe even the A-level subjects or vocational subjects they've been studying previously. And some will even look at GCSE subjects to offer some of those alternatives. It is just literally another free service that is available on top of actual clearing. And what clearing also has is on the UCAS website, just a facility for you to kind of type in any of the courses that you're interested in studying to have a look at what is available at those points of when clearing opens. So with regards to the next part of this presentation, we're just going to be talking a little bit around interviews and auditions. And this is when I'm just kindly going to hand over to my colleague Rio, who's going to talk about a little bit around the support that is available for our early entry students. Thank you, Rio.
Hi everyone, and thanks Gaynor in advance for clicking through my slides for me. So yeah, I'm going to speak to you about any student who has applied for Oxford, Cambridge, medicine, dentistry or vet med for this intake. The deadline for that has now passed. So unlike kind of standard university courses, these courses expect students to do a couple of extra stages in the application. So it's just to give you a very brief overview of what those are and where they can get support. So the first one is supplementary application questionnaires. Students will be sent that via email for them to complete, and that will have some deadlines included. So it's really important that students are checking their emails and making sure they get all the additional forms completed in time. And there's a link there in the slides to a really useful webinar and some guides that you can reach online about how to fill that form out. So the next one is work experience. So this is mainly for those students applying for vet med. Universities will expect a bit more detail about what work experience has taken place. And again, the best place to check for that is university websites, but also students will be emailed. So for Cambridge and Oxford in particular, they do like to ask for written work. So not all courses have written work requirements, but lots of them do. So again, the same message is that universities will email students for that information, but they can get ahead and think about what sort of written work they want to submit by checking on the course pages for their specific course at those universities. And then finally, as Gaynor said, there's interviews. So for all of those early entry courses, an interview is required. And shortly, as we get to half term, there will be a new section on our Aim Higher Padlet called Interview Resources, and there will be lots of different webinars and guidebooks and PDFs that students can look through and watch to help them get prepared for an interview. And there will also be setting up some mock interviews where possible to support those students as well. So for some of those interviews, Oxford and Cambridge do now have their interview timetables live, but students will be emailed if they're invited to interview. So again, make sure students are checking their emails. It's really important. So that information is found on the Aim Higher Padlets, and I have put the links on those slides for you as well. Although that is for early entry courses, on the Aim Higher Padlet, there are still a lot of resources on there for personal statement writing. So if anybody is considering applying to a competitive university, then they can access all of those resources on the Padlets. That's available for anybody to use, and my email addresses are on there as well. So if they've got any questions at all, please feel free to send me an email. So finally, I just wanted to highlight an event we're doing this Friday. This is useful for any students who are considering or who have applied for medicine or who are considering working in the NHS in the future. And that's on Friday, a virtual event. So if you can encourage your students to sign up, particularly for those for medicine, hopefully it will kind of give a really useful insight and things for them to talk about in their interview. That's also on our social media page and will be shared afterwards. So you can read a bit more about it and access the link. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gaynor.
Thanks very much, Rio. With regards to kind of interviews and auditions, you know, yes, they are very much for some of the Oxford and Cambridge applicants, but they are also something that is quite readily required as part of either a creative course or maybe something within the care-related programmes as well, something like nursing or midwifery. So on those kind of things, again, if your young person is invited to interview or does require, you know, a portfolio to show examples of their best work, then there is something, again, that will be advised by the institutions directly. Some of that information will be directly via their UCAS hub. So again, it's really important that young people get in the habit of you know, sort of checking that on regular intervals. And as Rio said, emails. We know that our young people are not always great at emails, but when they are looking at progression, especially for our year 13s and our year 2 students, then checking emails is definitely the way forward to make sure that they are securing their next steps. So just to kind of give you some examples, so, you know, it might be, you know, for the arts, that they might need to prepare for an audition, for some of the art related kind of courses, they might need to put together a portfolio. Some of these are e-folios. So again, you know, it's speaking to sort of the careers team and curriculum areas to gain support with that. It might also be that they need to actually submit, you know, kind of a piece of work, kind of like outlining, you know, sort of discussing a poem or an essay if it's for something like English or history. So again, it's just kind of looking and getting those kind of things prepared as early as possible. In UCAS Hub, they'll have the option of accepting, declining, or requesting to change the time of a date of an interview as well. So again, making sure that you're looking at those. And some of these institutions now are looking at doing more of a sort of blended approach. So a lot of young people might still be asked to actually attend an interview or audition actually at the location that they'll be studying at, but some others still will be doing that via a sort of video link. So again, if your young person might need some support with that, then that's a really good opportunity to kind of sort of speak to the careers and progression team for support around that. But as I said, preparation in all of these aspects is vital. And a lot of the time it's the young person actually knowing things like their personal statement inside and out, because that's the kind of things that, you know, the institution is going to question them about. If they have given kind of like evidence-based examples of things, being able to look at that and elaborate those in more detail. Being able to actually thoroughly research the course, the university that they'll be attending, and being able to kind of eloquently say why they want to actually study at that institution. And also being able to keep up to date with sort of current affairs relating to that subject. All of these things are kind of key factors and indicators that will support with success at interview and also at audition. So just a little bit around auditions, because we do have lots of our students that do a lot of creative subjects. And like I said, might also be applying for conservatoires and things like that as well. So for those applying for performance-based courses at a conservatoire or university, make sure that they're looking at the audition policy and that they're also looking at what they need to incorporate in that audition or that piece. And just being aware as well that some of them do actually have an additional charge on that, and on average looking at some of the things that you know, with students around conservatoires, they're around about sort of £50 to £65 per audition with travel on top, so that's another thing to kind of sort of factor in as well. So just to kind of say, we will be handing over to Ella from University of Essex that will be talking to us about student finance. But just wanted to highlight some of the additional funding that is available to students. So making sure that you as a family are also looking at things like scholarships, grants and bursaries, and so also things like some course specific, especially the NHS courses, may also offer additional grants and bursaries as well. And even when a student starts at university, there are things like the financial hardship fund that they can access to. And finally, just for me as well, just wanted to highlight some of the wonderful resources that we have available, you know, to support young people with that transition to higher study and also preparation as well. So it's not too late for anyone that is thinking about applying to university to actually kind of look at where they want to study. So things like open days, virtual events and taster days are a fantastic way of gaining further information, and will also help with the application and the personal statement process. For people that are thinking about higher tariff universities and where it is really important to them for employability reasons, they might want to look at sort of league tables and where those universities feature on those league tables. So things like the Complete University Guide is a great source of information. It's also important to some young people that actually they know exactly where they're going to be living and what it's going to be like. So UCAS do a great accommodation search so that you can even start looking at what that might be for your young person later on. Also as well, thinking about location and travel, it's sometimes really important for young people to be close to home, but some can't wait to get away. And so it's also looking at and factoring in what the costs would be with regards to travel. And there's some information about the rail card and the young person's coach card there. A lot of universities also support with things like UniBuddy. And what that is it's a great opportunity for young people to speak to actual undergraduates that are actually studying those courses at the moment, to give much more of an insight that maybe they would get from a lecturer that's showing them around on the campus on the open day. And then we've got things like budgeting, because again, it's a big step again for some people, young people, when they're actually, you know, sort of budgeting for their own finances. And also things around supporting and getting ready for higher education, looking at things like study skills courses, things like MOOCs and Future Learn and all things like that. So lots of support for that transition too. So what I'm going to do now is I just want it's a chance for you to kind of meet some key players within our progression team, and just to give you an oversight of some of those individual deadlines and support that is available to our young people. So I'm just going to hand it over now to Louise, who's going to talk about the progression to university support at Abbeygate.
Right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Louise and I'm a careers advisor, and I work at Abbeygate, and I also work at One Sixth Form College. I just wanted to do a quick reminder about the dates. I know that you've already met Rio, but we also work with Claire Palmer, who's our higher education champion, and we all work alongside the PPT teams in both of the colleges. But specifically for Abbeygate, I just wanted to give a quick reminder of the internal UCAS deadline for Abbeygate. we would like students to get their applications in and paid for by the 28th of November. The deadline for the first personal statement draft was actually yesterday, so do hurry up if you haven't completed that. And the deadline to guarantee feedback on personal statements is Monday the 14th of November 2020. And so for people who are still thinking that it's too late to apply, then if you want to start an application, the buzzword for 2023 is Abbeygate 2022. Just also to just let you know, the PPTs have sent out a UCAS checklist to all the students, and obviously the PPTs are available for one-to-ones, and also our fantastic What's On Weekly, which has loads of different careers events and university information, apprenticeships, open days, work experience, as all advertised there. And also Rio's already mentioned the Aiming Higher Padlet. And just lastly, in the LRC in Abbeygate, there are some fantastic careers resources in there. So thank you for listening, everyone, and I'll see you later in the evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Lou. And I'm really happy to say Lou also supports us at Sixth Form College as well. I'm the careers advisor for sort of full time, and Lou is also here with us for 3 days a week as well. But we also have in our team Nicola Manning, who's our UCAS coordinator, and we're also supported very much by Rio in her Aim Higher manager position, as well as Claire Palmer, who you'll meet very shortly with regards to Nico as well. So with regards to our internal deadline is the 11th of November. And our buzzword for 2023 entry is 2023. Not very original, but it works. We also have, a lot of support from our personal progress tutor team with regards to support for your young person, and a lot of them have been receiving lots of support with regards to their tutorial program, progression program that we offer here. These are weekly timetable sessions, and they're currently looking at things like the application, personal statement, and also interview preparation support. And as you'll see, we keep talking about it, but we have these wonderful Padlets of information. What's on Wednesdays? It's called at 1, and the Aim Higher Padlet as well. So there's just some contact details for you, so you can have a one-to-one careers guidance appointment. And referrals are done either through the PPT team or directly via the careers@suffolk1.ac.uk email address. And we are based in the Purple Supervised Study Zone, if you haven't come and found us before, at Sixth Form College. And I'm now going to hand over to Ellie.
Perfect, thank you, Gaynor. So I am the support essentially for West Suffolk College students. So I'm Progression to Higher Education Advisor. I can be found in hashtag in the Gateway if you've ever come across me. So in the Gateway building, it's next to the Starbucks if you get lost. And I can be found in there. So essentially, our internal deadline for students to have paid and submitted applications at West Suffolk College is Friday, the 9th of December. The buzzword for 2023 entry for any students making applications now is West Suffolk 23. It's all lowercase, there are no spaces. It sometimes catches people out and students go, I can't link, my buzzword's not working, and they've put a sneaky capital letter in there. So West Suffolk 23. And then the deadline to guarantee feedback on personal statements is the 25th of November. So I can help students with personal statement feedback, so they can send me personal statements via email, or they can come and see me in the hashtag. I'm happy to read 3 drafts and give them feedback on that, but I won't be giving feedback past the 25th of November due to volume of applications that we have to process. To book an appointment with me, students can just email me. So my email's on the screen, ellie.nice@wsc.ac.uk, or I can do drop-ins. So they are more than welcome to just pop in and see me in the office, ask away at any questions that they have. I'm there to sort of provides advice and guidance for anything to do with university. So whether that's finding accommodation, if they're not sure what offers to accept, they don't know what courses to pick, they need help with student finance, I'm here for everything. We've also got the pleasure, again, Claire Palmer, you're going to meet her in a second, but we have Claire every Monday, and she again is sat with us in the hashtag. So I am now going to pass over to Claire, this wonderful Claire you've all been hearing about. So I'll pass over to Claire and she'll explain to you a bit more about NICO and what the NICO project is.
Yeah, hello, thanks Ellie. My name is Claire and I am the Higher Education Champion and I work across the Eastern Colleges Group. So my role as the Higher Education Champion is to support students and help them to make informed decisions about their post-18 options through a programme of activities called Take Your Place. So through Take Your Place, students are given access to lots of resources. They have access to one-to-one guidance. So if they would like to explore higher education or perhaps apprenticeships, we can discuss that. I've also been organising subject tasters to universities where students have the opportunity to understand a little bit more about what university might be like if they decided to go to university, as well as having that opportunity to explore their subject interest further. So alongside these sort of types of activities, I've also been delivering bespoke workshops to students, again, to help students to be able to identify their key skills and articulate their key skills and subject interests. And this is to support kind of career aspirations as well as post-18, to support their post-18 options. So there are sort of lots of activities being provided, but currently a lot of the workshops that I'm delivering at the moment is obviously the personal statement workshop. Again, after half term, I'm going to be providing drop-in one-to-one sessions for those personal statements. So if your young person does need a little bit more support on their personal statement, this will be provided again after half term. If currently your young person is thinking about applying for apprenticeships, after half term I will be delivering some apprenticeship workshops, and that will be to help students obviously understand where to look for these apprenticeships and how to make that application. And again, later on in the year, there will be an opportunity for students to learn a little bit more about student finance too. So there are lots of resources available for students. So we encourage them, to at each site, make a careers appointment. Obviously, my email address is at the bottom of the slide there as well. And then finally, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about our fantastic NICO Parent and Carer Ambassador scheme. The parent and carer ambassadors work to embed the parent-carer voice and perspective into all of our outreach activities. Currently, we've got 7 parent and carer ambassadors, and they're all local to Suffolk. And they, the type of work that they do and support that they can offer across the sites is sort of providing student finance evenings, supporting with parents' evenings and progression evenings, as well as being able to kind of give advice about, the transition for students going from school, college to university. They also support on a lot of our family awareness days as well. So I will provide more links and resources after the progression evening, which will be then put onto the website. So yeah, thank you ever so much for listening. Any questions, I've got my email address at the bottom there. Thanks, Gaynor.
Amazing. Thank you very much indeed, Claire. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to pass you back to the lovely Ellie, who's going to introduce you to the next guest speaker that we have this evening.
Perfect. Thank you, Gaynor. I am just going to address a very quick question that was in the chat. So someone's asked where Claire is based on a Monday at West Suffolk College. So Claire is based in the hashtag. So you can find her in the hashtag. So that's where I am, that's where Claire is, and that's also where our careers advisor is. There's also a question about email addresses. So throughout this evening, obviously all of the slides that are being used, we're going to share them out with you. And each slide has got everyone's email address just at the bottom of the slide. So you can use those email addresses to get in contact with the right people. So we are going to move on now to the lovely Ella from University of Essex. She's going to be talking to you all about student finance, all the ins and outs of it, the different loans available. So I will pass over to Ella. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you so much, Ellie. And I'll just share my screen with you all so you can see my slides. Bear with me just a moment. Hopefully you can all see this. So yes, welcome to my student finance talk. My name is Ella and I work at the University of Essex. And this is going to give you an idea of what student finance is and how to support your young person through their student finance applications. So what is student finance? So student finance is the cost of going to university. I do just want to make you aware that the information in this presentation is correct for 2022 entry only. Information for 2023 entry is yet to be released by Student Finance England and the government. We do hope to have this information finalised soon, but at the moment it is just correct for 2022. And as soon as this is available, we will share this with our colleagues at Suffolk One, Abbeygate Sixth Form College and West Suffolk College as well. So student finance, there are two main costs associated with going to university. So you've got your student fees and your living costs, which is often also called maintenance loans, maintenance costs. These are kind of the things that you'll be often hearing about when your young person is applying for their student finance. The support is provided by the Student Loans Company, also known as Student Finance England. So these are also two company names that you'll hear a lot about over the next few years. But ultimately, Student Finance England are the ones that provide the student loan to your young person. And when they start repaying their student loan later on after graduating, they'll be kind of with Student Loans Company. So what is student finance? So like I said, there are two main areas to this. You've got your tuition fee support, which is the tuition fee loan. And then you've got the maintenance support, which is made up of the maintenance loan and any scholarships and bursaries. And I believe Gaynor just briefly mentioned scholarships and bursaries earlier in the session, but we'll cover this in a little bit more detail for you. So the tuition fee loan is currently the maximum it can be is £9,250 for a full-time undergraduate course for the first year of entry. It hasn't changed over recent years, but we don't know whether that will change again in the future. But currently it's been at this kind of level for a while now. It is available to all UK students on a full-time undergraduate course, and it is not income assessed. So this loan covers the full fee of the tuition fee. It is paid directly to the university, and that is once your young person has registered for their course. So once they've gone through the application and they're ready and they've moved into their new accommodation, gone to university and enrolled, the university will then reach out to Student Finance England and say that your young person is at the university and that money will start being paid to the university from then. It is worth noting that there's nothing to pay before or during the course. So I'll cover repayments in just a moment, but it's just be aware your young person will not be repaying anything whilst they are still studying their university degree. Moving on to maintenance costs. So this is the cost of living. And at university, this is things like their food, their rent, their books, all the essentials. And where they go and how they spend their money will affect their cost of living. So you know, if you go to university in London, the cost of living in London is typically a little bit more, and the maintenance loan is kind of reflective of this. But going out for dinner 4 times a week or going on a weekly food shop and kind of planning those meals out, it does all affect the cost of living for each person. So it is worth being aware of how that money is spent will affect this overall amount. The maintenance loan, again, is available to all UK students on a full-time undergraduate course. And this is where it's slightly different to the tuition fee loan because it is paid directly to the student in 3 instalments. And this is usually at the start of each term. So it's at the University of Essex, it's usually October, January and April time. Sometimes it might be a few weeks between each one. If you go to a different university, it might be a little bit earlier, it might be a little bit later, but it's usually at the start of each term. And what your young person gets depends on 2 factors, and this is the total household income and the location of study. So like I said, if your young person goes to university in London, the cost of living in London is typically a little bit more than it is elsewhere in the country, and this is reflected in the maintenance loan that the government provides. And then the total household income also is a factor on this as well. With the maintenance loan, applicants with a household income below £25,000 will receive the maximum loan available. and household incomes over the threshold will just receive the non-income assessed part of the loan. So like I said, these numbers are for 2022 entry. It is yet to be updated for 2023. We are still waiting on this information from Student Finance England, but this should give you a rough idea of the household income limits. So if your young person decides to go to university outside of London, the household income limit is £60,806. If they go to university in London, it's £67,403. And if they decide to stay at home for university, the household income limit is £56,879. So with the maintenance loan, you do get two parts to it. You do get the non-income assessed part of the loan and the income assessed, which can take you up to the maximum amount available. And here you can see how it also differs where they decide to study. So if they decide to study outside of London, the non-income assessed part of this loan is £4,524. But they can apply for the maximum available, and this is where the income of the total household income is assessed. But it can add on up to a further £5,182, totaling up to £9,706 as their maintenance loan. If they go to university in London, the non-income assessed part of this loan is £6,308. But if they want to apply for the maximum amount of loan available, this can add on up to a further £6,359, totaling up to £12,667. And then you can see if they decide to stay at home for university, it is slightly less, with the non-income assessed part of the loan being £3,597. And if they decide to apply for the maximum loan available, this can add on a further up to £4,574, totaling up to £8,171. So like I said, this is all 2022 figures. This is going to be updated shortly when Student Finance England release their 2023 figures, and we'll share this with the teams at the colleges as well. Moving on to scholarships and bursaries. So Gaynor did briefly mention this earlier. Scholarships and bursaries are where universities offer their own non-repayable support, and the awards available and the eligibility criteria vary between institutions. Some of them will be automatically assigned to your young person. It might be if they study a certain course or do get certain grades in their current studies, but some of them they will need to apply for. So we would recommend going onto the university websites for where your young person is applying to and having a look to see what scholarships and bursaries are available to them. As I said, they are often non-repayable, so it is definitely worth looking into it. If you can get a cash bursary of, say, up to £2,000 or £3,000, then it is all quite helpful to have. When it comes to repaying student loans, it is worth noting that nothing will be repaid until the April after they graduate and earning over the set threshold. So currently, this is £27,295. It is speculated that this could change, but nothing has been formally announced by Student Finance England or the government as of yet. Again, if this does change, then we'll keep you all updated with this, and it is worth just keeping an eye on it as well. It is also worth noting that your young person will stop repaying their student loan if their salary drops below the set threshold, and the repayment figure combines the tuition fee loan, maintenance loan, and any accrued interest on those loans as well. Currently, 9% of the earnings over the set threshold is what the student pays back of their student loan, and these payments are taken automatically from their salary and it's listed as a deduction on their payslip. So you don't often see that amount kind of coming out of your account every month. You don't have to set up any direct debits to pay that off. It's already taken automatically kind of before you even see that money in the first place. To give you an idea of how much repayments are based on the current threshold of £27,295, we've got this chart on the slide here. So the annual salary before tax, if it's less than £27,295, the monthly salary before tax will be £2,274, and the monthly repayment will be nothing, as this is the current threshold. If your young person is earning slightly more than this at £29,500 per year before tax, their monthly salary will be £2,458, and their monthly repayment will be £16 a month. And then if they earn slightly more than this at £33,000, Their monthly salary before tax will be £2,750 and their monthly repayment will be £42. So this shows that their repayments are based entirely on their earnings as a graduate and not how much they borrowed as a student. At the moment, anything outstanding is written off after 30 years. There is speculation that this could increase to 40 years in the media and the news. But again, this hasn't been confirmed by Student Finance England or the government just yet. So please do keep an eye on this, and we'll also be in touch if this is to change as well in the future. With interest rates, interest does accrue on your loans as soon as you start your course. And once you have graduated, the interest rate varies based on your earnings. So currently the highest it can be based on 2022 figures is RPI plus 3%. But once your young person has graduated, it will be a varying rate based on their earnings. Again, this could change in the future, but nothing has been confirmed as of yet. So with some additional information, it is just worth bearing in mind that student loans do not factor into credit ratings, and it is unlikely that a student loan will affect their ability to get a mortgage in the future. It is a common myth that if you move overseas in the future and you work abroad, that you won't need to repay your student loan. Unfortunately, this isn't the case, and it is still being paid back as if you're still earning over the set threshold. Again, repayments are based entirely on your earnings as a graduate and not how much they borrowed. One thing to bear in mind when they are doing their university research process and starting to look at where they want to go is looking at whether it's cheaper to live at home and commute, because sometimes it isn't always cheaper to commute to universities. If you're looking at train fares, it can be quite expensive, so it might be cheaper to live on campus, for example. So this is just something that you might want to factor into your research process as well. In the future, your young person might decide to repay their student loan if they're able to do so early. It's something that students might want to consider if they're in the position to do so, but they might also want to consider whether it's cheaper and easier and more affordable to just continue having that monthly repayment coming out of their salary each month. So it is worth just bearing that in mind as well. A few useful links for you. So gov.uk/student-finance is where the student finance applications will be made, and these are usually made in the springtime each year, and your young person will need to reapply for their student finance each year. They will often get reminded in the kind of halfway through the year to reapply for their student finance for their following year of study, but there is a section for them to fill out and for the parent and guardian to fill out as well. So this is just some information where you can apply for it through, but we also have the gov.uk/repaying your student loan, which gives some information on how to repay that student loan when the time comes to it. We also have our Essex website, essex.ac.uk/student finance, and we've also got Black Bullion as well, which also has some further information for you guys. So that is everything from me. I hope that covers student finance for you. If you do have any questions, please do let me know. Our email address is on the slide here, admit@essex.ac.uk. We have lots of information on our website, essex.ac.uk, so please do reach out to us if you've got any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ella. That's really useful. It's lovely to see just a nice overview of sort of how it works, how the repayments work. I think that can be a big worry for some people thinking, I don't know if I can afford to go to uni, or they see a debt and think, I'm going to be 50 grand in debt. What do I do? So knowing that it comes, from what you've earned, not what you've borrowed, I think is a really key message in there. Thank you. So also just to draw everyone's attention, so Louise, the careers advisor at One and Abbeygate, has put a really useful link in the chat to the gov.uk student finance calculator. So if you are sitting and thinking, oh, potentially how much can my young person get, or if it's you yourself as a student, how much will I get? On the student finance calculator, you can go onto that website and you just pop in your household income and a rough estimate of what you think your household income is, and that will give you a sum of how much based on what you've told them that you would get for the year for your maintenance loan. So a really useful website in there. So next, we were going to pass over for university studies and just show our local offer, but we're running a little bit low on time. So what we'll do is I will get my colleague Charlotte to pop a link in the chat to the university studies offer. You might have seen the little logos along the bottom of everyone's slides, and there's university studies at West Suffolk College on there. So as part of West Suffolk College, we have a university as part of the Eastern Colleges group, and that gives a local offer to any students who might not be able to leave home. They might have caring responsibilities, or they might not feel ready to make that step and move further away. So there is that university here in Bury St Edmunds for them as an option. So that link has just gone up in the chat to the website. There's a really good video on there of students talking about their experiences, and it will also show all of the courses that they have on offer for 2023, if that's what they're considering. So for the next part of the evening, we are moving on to our second section of all of the different other options aside from university for your young people to move on to after college or sixth form. So I'm going to hand over to Gaynor, if that's okay, Gaynor, just to share the slides, and we'll show you the different career support and career services that are available at the 3 colleges.
No problem. Thanks, Ellie. So I'm going to share my screen. So we have got a whole heap of different support across the whole of our centres. And what this little section is, especially for anyone that's joining us for this second part, is just to get a little bit more information about what your young person can access whilst as a student at either West Suffolk College, one sixth form college, or Abbeygate sixth form college. And it's thinking about it. Okay, so I'm firstly going to hand over to my colleague Louise, who's just going to tell you a little bit about some of the wonderful things that she's been doing at Abbeygate.
Good evening again, everybody. As Gaynor said, I'm Louise and I'm a careers advisor at Abbeygate, also at one sixth form college as well. I work at Abbeygate on a Monday and a Wednesday, and I'm based in the library at Abbeygate in the careers room, which is just next to the photocopier. When I'm not in there, I'm upstairs with the student services team with the PPTs. Students are welcome to stop me anytime and ask for careers meetings, pop into the room, or PPTs contact me and ask me to arrange careers meetings for the students and also the teachers as well. Students can obviously come and talk to me if they're not sure what they want to do, or there's, talk about any of their career ambitions, whatever they are, and we can look at the different ways that they'd like to reach that career ambition. I cover all progression pathways, looking at university and UCAS and also apprenticeships, degree apprenticeships, volunteering, employment, internships, helping with CVs and covering letters, interviews, anything that the students are wanting support with. I'm at Abbeygate to do that. Also looking at different ways to secure work experience is something that students come to ask as well. So those are a little bit about all the different things that I do at Abbeygate. In addition to that, I also invite employers in. So last week we had Gallagher Re in, who worked with the language students, looking at the way they can use their languages within reinsurance across the world. And we also had the Forestry Commission came in, and we were really lucky because she was one of our alumni from Eastern Colleges group, and she gave a really good presentation to mainly the geography students, but that talk was available to all the students at Abbeygate, and we advertise all our events on the What's On Weekly Padlet, so that appeared on there. So that's something that we're always looking for, and I'm always looking for at Abbeygate, is any employers who are happy to come in and to give a workshop to the students and to give them some insight into different careers, and also to take, to have their information stands in our expo area, which is opposite the entrance gates at Abbeygate. And that's a chance for employers and different organisations that can support students and universities to be around during lunchtime to chat with students informally. And so when we had Gallagher Re in, we had some like amazing questions that the students came up with. They're so sort of thoughtful, and it's really interesting to hear. So do get in touch if you would like to contribute your information about the career area that you work in, and that would be great. We're always happy to hear from you, and I look forward to working with the students for the rest of this academic year. And so thank you very much for listening, and hope to see you at some point. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed, Lou. So that kind of swiftly hands over to me. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about the provision of progression support at One. So as I mentioned previously, if you were sort of tuned in for the university section of this evening, we work really closely with the personal progress tutor team, the PPTs as they're sort of fondly referred to, and they do weekly progression sessions. So things that they can support your young person with, currently is around sort of UCAS applications, but that's, kind of moving now into apprenticeship support, including CV writing, cover letters, personal statements, interview skills, and also then helping out with things around employment and looking at interview skills, employability skills, and actually helping those young people to build connections. We work really closely with our work placement team as well here at One. And so we are always looking at ways that we can engage with new employers. One of the ways that we do that is the weekly lunchtime information sessions, where we actually arrange for a employer to actually come in either in person or to host a session on Teams, which is then recorded and shared with our staff and students. And we had, just kind of looking back, we had lab called drug development in last week. We've obviously got Dr. Patrice Baptiste looking at kind of routes into medicine and other NHS related careers this Friday. So we are always looking at ways that we can work with employers to bring new sectors in, information about the labour markets, and also just to kind of inspire, our young people to think about maybe careers they hadn't thought of before. As we said, we keep talking about these Padlets of opportunity. So like I said, ours is called What's on Wednesday here at One, and that's emailed out to our students every Wednesday. And so please get your students, if you are a 161 college student, to look out for emails from me, Gaynor, because that's lots of information available to you. I also run an apprenticeship matching service. So for anybody that is looking at securing an apprenticeship, they can fill out a short online form advising maybe some of the sectors that they're interested in and maybe some of the levels that they would like to progress onto. That could be everything from intermediate, advanced, higher or degree apprenticeships. And then what I do is I match that young person with specific vacancies. We're at the moment, because we're looking at, kind of sort of launching more and more of the opportunities around higher and degree apprenticeships that will be available, kind of from now right through until kind of January. We are also going to be providing vacancy listings from the amazing apprenticeships higher and degree apprenticeship vacancy listing that will be available next month. So watch out for those as well. And I'm now going to hand you over to Ellie, who's going to talk about progression support at West Suffolk too.
Brilliant, thank you, Gaynor. Me again. So I am going to talk about the careers advice service that we have at West Suffolk College. So we have a fantastic careers advisor. You may have seen her putting some things in the chat. So we've got Maggie Noonan. She's also based in the Gateway with us in the hashtag office. She is a one-stop shop for everything in terms of progression. She's an absolute wealth of knowledge. So she's level 6 qualified in careers advice and guidance, and can support your young people with all of the different pathways that they want to go on to after college. at West Suffolk College, whether that be apprenticeships, finding jobs, help with CVs, writing covering letters, looking for job opportunities. And on that topic, she's created the most fantastic job shop that's available to students. So with the job shop, it's essentially like a jobs board. So local employers advertise vacancies that they have available in the area. So very aware of the different areas that students are in. So around Bury St Edmunds, we've also got places like Sudbury, Haverhill, where we commonly find that students come from. We'll advertise jobs on there that students can apply to. And again, Maggie can help with those application processes, get their CVs up to scratch and get them ready for the world of work or whatever it is that they might be doing after college. Again, reiterating, there are the Padlets. So every student has access to the Padlets. They are found on all of the college websites. We've also popped some links in the chat to the Padlets if you wanted to have a look. And there's posters all around the buildings as well. So anything and everything to do with progression and finding next steps after college, Maggie is the go-to person for West Suffolk College. So that is our section on the different support that we have at the 3 colleges. And we're going to move on to next Lizzie. So we have Lizzie from Challenges Abroad, who's going to talk about gap year opportunities. Over to you, Lizzie.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ellie, and thank you to all for inviting me to attend this evening. Just going to try and share my screen quickly. Is this working? Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. Brilliant. So as Ellie said, my name is Lizzie, and I actually grew up in Bury St Edmunds. I took a gap year myself, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about in a moment. But I currently work for an organisation called Challenges Abroad. We're really pleased to be working with West Suffolk College, Suffolk One and Abbeygate on a number of really exciting overseas opportunities in line with the touring scheme this year. And perhaps some of those opportunities are going to make a few students think, actually, maybe having a gap year is the right thing for me. Maybe I want to do a bit more travelling and see the different opportunities out there before deciding whether or not to take that step to university. So just before I go into kind of the ins and outs of planning a gap year or making that decision, I just wanted to touch on why I personally chose to take a gap year, because it's a really, really daunting time. I mean, it's about 10 years ago for me now, but it still feels like yesterday. I was in the sixth form common room thinking, do I submit this UCAS application? I took a gap year because I was absolutely unsure on whether university was the right choice for me. No one in my immediate family had ever been to university before, so for me it was a really daunting experience. And quite honestly, I just was not ready to go after year 13. If you had asked me then why I took a gap year, I would have said, oh, it's because I want to travel and see the world. Actually, in hindsight, I didn't go to university straight away because I just was not ready. I didn't have the confidence. I definitely didn't have the independence. And I wasn't sure which direction I needed to go in. And that's totally okay. Having a gap year enabled me to just explore a little bit more about what I wanted to do. I worked for 6 months. I broke that into 3 months. So I worked for 3 months, and then I travelled for 3 months, and then worked again for 3 months before having the summer off. And actually, I then did decide to go to university. I did make a UCAS application in my final year in year 13. I decided to defer that. Actually, by the time it came to applying again, all the university choices I had made in year 13 were not at all where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. So I did a new application, and that just gave me a bit of a backup. I knew that I was going into a gap year with a university offer, but I also knew that I could change my mind and shuffle things around if I wanted to. If you ask any of my friends, they will still tell you that I blab on about my gap year all of the time, because honestly, it's so cliche, but it did change my life. Traveling just gave me the opportunity to develop key skills such as independence and confidence. I remember being in the car on the way to the airport. I was going to South Africa for 3 months, and I was actually like, why am I going? What am I doing this? why am I doing this? And I thought my parents were awful people for dropping me off at Gatwick Airport because I was so terrified. But actually, in hindsight, that was some of the best 3 months of my life so far. And I look back on that as such memories. I stepped on that plane with no confidence, not knowing who I was, not knowing what I wanted to do. And I feel like I came back a completely different person. I suddenly had that direction of, yes, actually, I do want to go to university and this is what I want to do. It gave me the opportunity to have a break from studying. When you get to the end of sixth form of college, you've been in education for a really long time, right? You know, from the age of 5 to 18, it's a really long time. And especially if you're thinking about going to university, then doing a master's, or even going on to do a PhD, it's a really long time of studying. So having a gap year just gave me that chance to have a break, which meant when I did return to studying again at university, I think I was a bit more focused than some of the other people in my halls who wanted to spend the first term probably going out having a bit too much fun. Having a gap year also meant that I had to meet new people. It was a really weird experience when everyone went off to university and there was about 2 of us just left in Bury, thinking, okay, we haven't got any friends anymore. We haven't got a life at the weekends. Kind of forced us to meet new people and to try different things. And actually, some of the friends that I made during my gap year, both in Bury and overseas, are some of my closest friends still now. And it just gives you that chance to step out of your comfort zone. And it's just a chance to try new things, meet new people, see the world, or gain some experience working. Having a gap year doesn't necessarily mean you have to travel, but it just means you've got a year out for you to try lots of different things. There's so many different things to think about when you're planning your gap year. I think I ordered flyers and brochures from every different organisation out there. I made a big comparison chart of who I wanted to go to, what I wanted to do. You need to be really, really organised, and most importantly, you need to be realistic, because it's not, depending on what you want to do, you need to think about, what can you afford? How long do you need to work for in order to afford any travelling that you want to do? And how is it going to fit in with all of the things, really? And you need to be organised, because from that moment you finish school or college in the summer, June, July time, that summer just disappears, and suddenly, at the blink of an eye, everyone else is off to university, starting jobs, starting apprenticeships. And if you haven't got things sorted, it's really easy to just let your gap year disappear. I know quite a few people who had a year out and just didn't really do anything. So please, if you're thinking about having a gap year, start planning it now. It's really exciting. Yes, it's scary, but you need to be really, really, really organised. And there are loads of tools out there and loads of people out there to help you do that. I spoke to lots of different gap year advisors from different companies who were able to help me find the right programme for me. I knew that I did not want to go travelling on my own. That would have been far too terrifying. So I wanted to find a group of people that I could travel with, do a bit of volunteering and a bit of travelling. So that was right for me. But I also know lots of people who did go travelling on their own, which is, again, a really cool experience. But again, you need to be organised. You need to be on Hostelworld, reading those reviews, making sure you're choosing the right accommodation for you. You can't just pick the first thing that comes up. You do need to be organised and know your expectations. You need to think about job opportunities. So when you're starting to come into that summer period, make sure you've got a job lined up, because again, you don't want to just finish college and think, right, what am I going to do now? I'm going to try and find a job, but so are lots of other people. So just be organised with looking for job opportunities out there as well, and maybe look for more seasonal opportunities. And again, you can look for overseas job opportunities. I know someone who wanted to be a chef, so he went off to do a ski season, but gaining experience in cooking. So you can combine your job opportunities or what you want to go and study with your gap year as well. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Yeah, I've already touched on this, but if you're traveling independently, do lots and lots of research. It's an amazing world out there, but it is a little bit scary at times. So just make sure you are organised and explore lots of different options, especially if you want to look at volunteering. There are lots of incredible organisations doing really amazing ethical and sustainable programmes. But there are also lots of really, really cheap programmes out there who are just trying to get young people overseas as a money-making scheme. So just do your research, ask those questions. Where does my money go? What am I paying for? Is any of my money going to community programs? If it's not, what's it covering? And don't be afraid to ask lots of those questions. And lastly, it's okay to be scared. Lots of my friends from sixth form all went off to do really kind of conventional things and will kind of follow that textbook. They're going off to do medicine or veterinary or study history or English. And I was kind of the one like, yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. But it's totally okay to feel like that. There's so much pressure to feel like you need to know exactly what you're going to be doing. But actually, it's okay to think, you know what, I'm going to go traveling. I'm going to have a gap year. And I'm going to see the world and try something totally different. So as I said at the start, I work for an organisation called Challengers Abroad. We have a partner company called Gap Guru. So I'm here from Challengers Abroad, but I'm going to talk about our sister company, Gap Guru, and just highlight some opportunities that are out there for gap year students, things that you might not have considered before. So firstly, first thing I want to highlight, and you might not know this, you can access funding for your gap year placement. So this year, Gap Guru have got some funded 6-week placements for students to go overseas to Thailand, Cambodia, Peru, Nepal, India, or Tanzania for 6 weeks, and that's almost fully funded by the touring scheme. That enables you to work on a community program that is aligned with the skills that you want to develop, or perhaps the course or apprenticeship that you're looking to go into next. What's also quite unique and something that you might not consider is what we call a 6-month traineeship. So a traineeship is a bit like an internship overseas. You would actually spend 6 months working overseas, working with our teams, where it's a paid role. You get a monthly stipend, which means free weekends, you're able to go out and do that traveling. So although there are loads and loads of opportunities where you can do internships, you can pay for different gap year placements, you can do work abroad opportunities. There's lots of sort of Camp America style programs or ski seasons, loads of different programs. There are also opportunities that you can gain funding for. So if you're sat there thinking, yes, I would love to travel, but it's just so far away from anything I feel I could achieve right now, please do get in touch. I'll maybe pop into the chat just a form that you can fill in to find out some more information, but that is funding available for opportunities like this. I am probably one of the biggest advocates for the skills that having an international opportunity can gain for you. I know firsthand from the 2-week overseas program I did when I was in sixth form, how that just shaped what I wanted to do. It made me actually have a gap year. And then when I was at university, I still did lots of traveling. So if you're thinking that I don't want to have a gap year because I've got my place at university, or I'm want to do an apprenticeship, you know what you want to do, there are still loads of international opportunities post further education that you can get involved in. One of my biggest regrets is not doing a study abroad whilst at university. You can also do lots of short-term programs, and again, there is funding available for all of this. Lots of people just don't know about it at the moment. We're now in a really competitive world. It's a really competitive workplace, and more employees are looking for people who can gain experience on a global platform. And that's where having a gap year, doing these overseas opportunities, can really just make you stand out a little bit more from the crowd and gain that global cultural awareness as well. I hope that's given you a very quick overview and insight into the opportunities that you can do in your gap year and the things to think about. If you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lizzie. I always love hearing about gap years because I just think the opportunities that are out there at the minute is so much bigger than, say, when I left college. There is just so much out there to do now, and so many different countries you can go to, different programs that you can sign up to, and companies that can just help you get out there and see the world. It's amazing.
And to get funding for it.
Yes, Even better. It's perfect. Thank you. And just something that Lizzie touched on is it's okay to be scared. I know we're throwing a lot of information at you at the minute with sort of different progression routes, and there's a lot of talk from teachers around what's your next steps, what are you doing, what's your destination after you finish college, and that can be quite intimidating, and we completely appreciate that. And there's a lot of information to take in, and it's a big decision. It's a lot to decide on what you want to do. So just to reiterate that there is also emotional support for you at the different colleges as well. So if you are feeling like you are slightly feeling overwhelmed with everything, if you are a student or if you've got a young person who you know is potentially feeling very anxious around that sort of conversation, then there are student welfare teams at all of the colleges, and the personal progress tutors, the PPTs, are there. So there are teams to help the students if they are feeling worried, they are feeling stressed or overwhelmed with the whole situation and just need that emotional support. So thank you, Lizzie. Thank you so much for sharing your insight on gap years. We're going to move swiftly on to our apprenticeships talk. So I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Phil Stittle, who I'm going to proclaim as the apprenticeship guru. So over to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Ellie. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. Lots of information, some real fascinating pieces there to take in and digest. And as Ellie is saying, you know, there's a lot to consider, and one of those is apprenticeships. So I'm just going to talk through a little bit around what opportunities exist for apprenticeships. Hopefully you can all see my slides okay. Let's start the slideshow. So what is an apprenticeship? Well, it's a job. It's a job with formal training, and it aids as a career starter or someone that wants to actually improve where they're going, or they've got a sight on where they want to go to. We heard earlier about a lot more higher and degree apprenticeships that are available, and that is something that we are looking into heavily within the college. Basically, we match the apprenticeship to the position. So basically, if you're learning anything within engineering, a construction apprenticeship wouldn't be suitable for you. So what it does, it looks at the role and it matches that to the appropriate apprenticeship standard. And of those apprenticeship standards, there are now over 750 nationally that are available. We're not the only provider. There are lots of providers out there. So I would certainly urge you to look at the Find an Apprenticeship website, which is the government website. It just gives you an idea of what there is and what is coming. So no age limit on apprenticeships, anybody that's 16 plus, and it gives you that opportunity to still study but also learn whilst you're doing so. So adversely from maybe studying at university, it doesn't come with those fees. They do come with national recognised qualifications, so they do transverse across all employers. They understand what they are. As I said, you don't pay. Everything's funded either by your employer or your government, and apprenticeships sort of last between 12 and some are up to sort of 60 months, certainly within degree if you're starting right at the basement level. The attendance at college could be either 1 day a week, it could be 1 day a month, it could be a lot more workplace delivery where we come and see you. You look at doing some self-study. Your employer supports you a lot of that way, a lot of development that happens within your workplace. I've been speaking to some people and they're saying, okay, within this apprenticeship standard, I can't do this, I can't do that. Oh, presentations, that's a bit of I won't be ready to do that. That's not from day one. The apprenticeship is all around guiding you and developing you over a period of time. So at the end of that apprenticeship, you'll be able to tick off all those points within there. So it's a great development tool, well recognised by a load of high-end employers and also those small one-man bands. So if you know of employers, it's important to approach them early when you're looking to leave, maybe even get some work experience, because you can offer them a chance for them to see you and for you to see them. That's the most important thing. So it's a great match. Across all of East Anglia, you know, apprenticeships are available. That's the key part. There are some major infrastructure projects that are coming, as we all know. Sizewell C, for example, National Grid, the Port of Felixstowe and Freeport East, that's happening. The A14 developments, There's massive influx in R&D from science filtering out of Cambridge. We've got a massive IT and games design sector that is being supported through higher and degree level apprenticeships. The likes of Aviva and BT, they're on our doorstep. That offers, you know, international options for people to start with them and then progress. We just heard earlier about learning in different countries. Actually, they have offices all across the globe. Chances are that you can actually progress if you've got the work ethic and you've got the desire to actually progress. So in terms of what we offer through West Suffolk College, we've got over 2,000 apprentices in learning, and you can see our footprint right across the country. Now, these are in places such as we heard of NHS. The NHS offer a fantastic start for a career and obviously longer term career options. And you think NHS, you think nurses and doctors. Will actually know it's everything that you can imagine, through from hospitality to IT to construction to pharmacy. There's so many options within the NHS zone and sphere. And then you have all the support mechanisms that are local to the community. So all of your doctors' surgeries, your pharmacies, and all your care and health support services. There are great options. We're working with over 950 employers, and as I said, they're large and small, multinationals to one-man bands, and the offer is there from level 2 all the way to level 7. What apprenticeships do now is they map in your previous skills. So anything that you've learned through studying with us, they map those skills and they look to embed them into the apprenticeship. So it doesn't mean that you're repeating anything. What you're doing is actually taking what you've learned and then developing it even further. So 80 apprenticeships that we offer, but as I said, there's over 750 nationwide. So these are some of the local employers that we work with, some outstanding people. You know, Mediterranean Shipping Company, they're the second largest shipping company in the world. That is a fact. Treat, one of the leading suppliers of additives to food and drink beverages. You've got Vertas, a great option for you know, facilities and other IT infrastructure. Taylor Wimpey, if you want to go and build houses, there's some absolutely outstanding options that are available right on our doorstep. And that's, as I say, just a few of the people that we work with. So the apprenticeships we offer, we're general. We offer, you know, generalistic apprenticeships right across the board. So from engineering to hospitality to business support, management, procurement, or if you want to become a science technician, that is what we can support you with. As I said, they go from level 2 all the way up to level 6 and 7 now with your degree apprenticeships attached. And that is something that we're focusing on. We're increasing the amount of higher and degree apprenticeships. So actually we can link to companies that have a recruitment need. As you may have heard in the press, actually unemployment rates are at their lowest. They've been at their lowest for a number of years now. What we're trying to do is entice employers to think about the apprenticeship option, to offer people that starting position and develop them, and that's a real key. So, you know, equal on the table, apprenticeship or university, it's really your choice. Look at the merits for both and then decide from there. In terms of feedback, it's great to hear feedback from individuals. We do celebration achievements throughout the year to actually reward apprentices, but what they do start, and what I see is that, you know, it's a great starting point, but actually people progress. They progress into management. They step out of the company they're working for because they have an idea. They create their own company. They then take on another apprentice themselves. So actually, you know, getting feedback like this, which is brilliant, the development of skills, the encouragement and actual positivity that there's giving going through the process, it's absolutely brilliant. So in terms of next steps for you guys in this next sort of 6 months is to check out the vacancies that are available. Some employers start early recruitment, so they start from this month. That's the, you know, the larger employers. What they want you to do is start applying. They will then do interviews within the early part of next year, i.e. January, February time. What you will need to look out for is National Apprenticeship Week, which is the first week of February. That is where apprenticeships are publicised nationally. We do a lot of press, a lot of events. So again, options to come and see us and to engage with employers there. But also just look at the vacancies that are available on the National Apprenticeship website. They, you know, employers don't just recruit in August and September. They recruit all year round. make sure you have a look at the starting points. So if an employer is advertising, just check out when they're looking for someone to join their team. And what I keep saying is actually people do advertise early for that July, August starting point, and that can be at any time early in 2023. So you can apply for as many apprenticeship vacancies as possible. Cap on 10 on the National Apprenticeship website, but actually literally put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you spread your options open wide, and as I say, tailor your application. Make sure that your CV is up to date. Make sure that you can gain some work experience in this year. Anything that is valuable on the CV which an employer might be looking for to match you to the vacancy that they have. We're here for advice and guidance. Feel free to drop us an email, have a look on the website, the different courses that we have available, or just give us a call, drop in and see us. We are here to help and guide you through to that next stage. Thanks for listening, and on to the next.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you very much for that. I think, apprenticeships are just a fantastic opportunity, particularly, with students who are thinking maybe they want a degree, but they don't want the whole uni experience. Degree apprenticeships, they're on the rise. You're getting paid while you're getting your degree. You still get your cap and gown at the end, have your graduation ceremony. Fantastic opportunities. Thank you, Phil. So last but by no means least for the evening, we are going to finish with David Butler, and he's going to be talking about taking opportunities for employment. David.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name's David. Just for 1 second, you should see my PowerPoint pop up any moment now. Please bear with me. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so as you can see, hi everyone. I'm David. I am from the work placement team here at West Suffolk College, and hoping to give you a little bit of information in and around the work and industry placement team there. As you can see, we've got a couple of our email addresses at the bottom. If you want to take those, please do, and please fire any questions at us immediately after this call or during the week. So yeah, hopefully this presentation will give you an insight into the team, the types of employees that we work with, and the work we do to engage with our students every single day of every single academic year, both inside and outside of the classroom. We'll look at obviously the employment side of things, a little bit about the self-employment side within the session, and as we go through the slides. First of all, we really want to celebrate just the number of employers that we work with and just some of the successes that we've got. As you can see, some of the employer links here are absolutely fantastic. Some of the biggest names in the country from a range of different curriculums and a range of different backgrounds. As you can see here, Suffolk Constabulary, BT, we've got Centre Parks, Jet2 Holidays. We look at West Suffolk Hospital. We look at the council, West Suffolk Council, and obviously Premier Education within sports coaching as well. And we work with roughly 50,000 employers across the group. It's absolutely fantastic. The links are great, offering in-class activities, which could be anything from employer talks to training and qualifications. We work heavily with our employers to come into the classroom and help produce projects with the students, which is fantastic. We then look at how we work with them off-site as well. And we go to our fantastic employees and we look at things like industry tours, talks from their employees, people with real-world industry experience. We start looking at the qualification side of things, and obviously from our side of view, the work placements as well, as we look to guide and really engage our students from really day one all the way until they leave us and may well take some of the opportunities that you've heard from earlier on. And it's really important that our students do access as many opportunities as possible, not only to shape their education alongside the things they do within the classroom, but the employability down the line. We see with a lot of our employers that, especially with the current climate, more employers are willing to come in and see us, to work alongside us within education, showcasing their businesses, employment opportunities, and obviously we believe we have a lot of talent across the group. We really want as many different employers in front of our students as possible, because it's the industry that they're studying within, and it's the opportunities that can be created by links with us across the group to create those opportunities for students to thrive in down the line. So it's just, these are some of the opportunities and some of the organisations that we work with currently, and we're really proud to work with every single one of them. As we kind of talk about our employers and what do our employees and employers want, and that's professional, well-written CVs. We've got a fantastic database with iCanBia, which I'm sure has been mentioned and has been mentioned previously, which is accessed by all students within all curriculums. Our employers want awareness of code of conducts and students to be flexible when stepping into the industry. We do realise that our students are potentially going in to first opportunities, let alone first jobs, first professional conversations. So it's important that we embed those code of conducts in early. We have, and I'm really proud to say, we do have a lot of classroom talks. We do have a lot of employers visit our students. And one thing, and this comes from feedback from across the board, is that they love questions. They absolutely love questions. Students who are proactive, students that are taking notes, and they want to hear from interested students. So I hope across the board that that's going to be going ahead. And obviously 100% commitment, 100% of the time, to use initiative as well. So when we have got these employers in, ask questions, get opportunities, be proactive, be on the ball. And they really want our students to continue the fantastic work they do within the classroom, building their college character strengths and taking them from the classroom into industry, which would be absolutely fantastic. A lot of the work that goes in to what we do within the team is encouraging our students obviously to take up the opportunities, but it's also about how can we shape them, how can we guide them, and how can we engage them to really go on and push beyond here. We do a lot of networking with these organisations that you've seen, and it's really important that our students do the same, whether that's via contacting professionally, whether that's in the classroom, whether that's in showcase tours. And these are just a couple of ways that our students can
You're just on mute, David.
There we go. I should be back now. Apologies. So we look at our job shop, and that's already been mentioned, so I won't go on about that too long. But Maggie runs a fantastic careers and connections job shop, which I do want everybody to take a look at and start taking some of those opportunities. Students can also network with professionally well-written emails. It's a fantastic start. It gives employers a real good opportunity to get in touch with our young people as well. Hopefully, throughout the curriculums, throughout the areas, there'll be careers fairs being held. They are regular, and we do encourage all of our young people to go along to these. And the one thing I always say to our students is that within these careers fairs, these employers are there because they want to work with our young people. They're not there just to show face or to represent their company. They are there because they want to work with our young people. So I always encourage really with every single student to ensure that they approach as many people as possible, have conversations, however long that might be, taking business cards to make sure that they can make contact when they leave. And as well, something right on your doorstep, just having conversations, friends, family, friends of family. You never know what is on your doorstep. You never know who somebody that you're close to might know that can offer you that one opportunity that completely shapes your career, just from one 15-20 second conversation, one email that can completely guide where you're going to go within your career. And as we talk about the connections that we make and the networking that we do, there's some things that we just want to be and we want to put across to our students to make sure that they're mindful of. And that's obviously straight from the beginning, the email, making sure that they are clear, easy to understand, and obviously mindful of the layout and the content of the email. We guide our students to always ensure that their CV is well written, it's up to date, and includes a personal summary, because this really does tell the recipient who you are, and a little bit about you as well. And of course, the first personal interaction, first impressions do count, always make an impact, and it's about having the right attitude when you're making that personal interaction as well. That very first hello, that very first moment in the classroom or in that interview, and something to always be mindful of as well. Potentially something you can practice with friends and family is to have a small pitch, 30 seconds, 1 minute, because every employer in every interview is going to ask, who are you? What are you into? What do you like? What are your hobbies? And that is really something that can stand you out from the crowd if you're able to speak about yourself for 30 seconds, and that would be absolutely fantastic. And just with the way of the world as well at the moment, it's more than just, you know, what you do in front. We are conscious of telling all of our students about social media and the impact that that can have, both positive and obviously negative if used in the wrong ways, because our employers, and they do feedback to us, they do check social media sites. And one thing I say to our students, they're not going to ask for username and passwords, but they will go out there and they will check what you like, what you share, what you comment, because obviously your profile on any network, on any platform, will say a lot about you. So we always try to guide our students with that as well. So hopefully that tells you a little bit about some of the employers, some of the things that they're looking out for. And really it's about how we can help you and how we can guide you, inspire you day in, day out to be the best you can be. And that is quite clearly through designated careers teams across the group, who can support in a really wide range of ways, from job searching, CV writing, skills and interview techniques, and much more. It really is on the students' doorsteps. It really is just one message, one conversation away. Within our role, within the work placement officers, always need help, reach out. We're always here to help, no matter how large or small you think your query might be, how far-fetched your idea might be with regards to where you might want to work. Is always worth having a conversation. And of course, every group is part of a Teams page, and we've got our work placement channels on there as well. Now, these don't just offer some of the opportunities that are out there, how-to guides, advice, guidance, everything encompasses work placement, work experience, and of course, with young people, with us all, it's all on our phones as well, so it's at your fingertips wherever you are. Which leads quite nicely onto our social media. Please do give us a follow, and you can see the 2 @ there as well, because our social media does offer opportunities, and again, everything and similar to how the work placement area works, we also share our opportunities out there, because some opportunities are college-wide. They're not necessarily specific to a course, a group, so it is wider. Again, the job shop is there, some fantastic opportunities put out by Maggie. So please keep an eye on that. It's not something that we would say keep an eye on every day, but certainly every now and again, it's really, really worth looking on there, because you never know what takes your eye on that with regards to a future opportunity. We also link in a little bit something different with the Barclays Life Skills. It's really worth a try. Some of the skills and guidance on there is absolutely fantastic. And of course, I've mentioned ICANN-BA, and all of our work placement officers would be more than happy to have a conversation, no matter the length, with any student who needs help and support as well. So that would be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Padlet offering opportunities over the group. Absolutely, students will be aware of that, and I'm aware that the What's on Wednesday communication has already been spoken about. But obviously, that's every Wednesday, weekly. Okay, so let's have a little look at what is next for our students. And obviously, there's so much for our young people to look forward to this year and beyond across all of our sites. And we do look out for and encourage students to take part and put themselves forward to offerings from the team. There is no limit on work experience. There's no limit on work placement. There's no limit on how many skills that you can go out there and try your hand to and try to learn. And obviously across the subject areas, there's a huge number of opportunities and different ways of learning as well with regards to work placements, experience in the working world. And again, I do emphasize, you know, you can do more than one, more than two, more than three, depending on what your time allows. We do encourage our employers as often as possible, weekly, monthly, potentially daily, to come in and see our students, and some of those opportunities may lead to project work. And we've got some amazing employers there that bring their industry into the classroom and have got an absolute wealth of knowledge, and it's great, regardless of the curriculum area, to hear from them. An industry placement, of course, which is an extended version of a work placement and looks absolutely fantastic on a CV, giving that extended amount of time that you can then complete with an employer. We've mentioned already the employer talks, taken on board everything that they have to say. Industry professionals sharing their knowledge is priceless, and of course the opportunities don't just limit themselves there. We've got virtual work experience. I've already mentioned things that you can access at your fingertips with regards to the Teams information, and this is no different with regards to virtual work experience. And of course, finishing off with some volunteering, which you've heard a little bit about already. Fantastic on your CV. Really important to boost employer connections, especially as you're going through education, and that really does set you to stand out from the crowd. We do have a dedicated careers team. We do have a dedicated work placement team. Please do get in touch with your work placement officer, no matter how big, no matter how small. We want you to pack your CVs out. We want you to take all of these fantastic opportunities, which leads me into our last page, which should be any questions. So if there are any questions for the team, please do drop us an email, and we will look out for that and get back to you as quickly as we can. So I believe I was last up, and I think that might be able to be back to you, Ellie.
Perfect. Thank you, David. You are right. You were last up. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I think, yeah, just to reiterate how valuable work experience really is for young people. You know, it can be used on anything, for job applications, on CVs, personal statements for universities, whatever route they go down. It really is invaluable if they can get it and if it's possible for them. So thank you all so much for joining us this evening. If you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and we will try and answer those. Other than that, it's just a massive thank you for joining us. We hope you found this useful. We will be hanging around, so if you do have some questions, we will still be here to answer those in the chat for the next few minutes. But other than that, just to say thank you. Again, reiterate the support that's around there for young people at the 3 colleges, from Abbeygate 1 and West Suffolk College. And thank you for joining us. We hope you have a lovely evening. You can go and enjoy some dinner.